Here's the thing that's beautiful about Spinal Tap. They have not grown emotionally, musically, or artistically. They are stuck in that heavy metal world.
I'm with the Hollywood Reporter sitting down with a legend and one of my favorite directors, man. I'm so excited to speak with you.
Thank you.
So, first of all, congratulations on The Bear this season.
Oh, I had a great time doing it.
I really enjoyed
that. Fun thing. I didn't know. I mean, the guy who created Chris Story, he's a brilliant writer, great director, and he makes an atmosphere that is so comfortable, it makes you want to work there. And he works very similar to the way I work, which is he lets people be, lets them improvise. I had a great time.
Now, we're discussing This Is Spinal Tap II, which is something I have hoped for quite some time. But the staying power of This Is Spinal Tap is so interesting to me because it was ahead of its time in its meta nature, which I want to talk about in a moment. But it feels like there's a surge lately, and the Hollywood Cemetery screening next week is selling out. And what do you think it is that makes it so timeless?
I don't know. I mean, what's weird is that when it first came out, nobody got it. I mean,
Sure.
they thought I made a movie about a real band that wasn't very good, and why wouldn't I make a movie about the Beatles or the Rolling Stones? It took a while before people really caught on to it and understood that we were making fun, we were having fun with it, and then over the years, we had created like a parallel universe for Spinal Tap. You know, we didn't talk about other bands. But then, all of a sudden, the real world started creeping in. You know, they played Glastonbury, they played Royal Albert Hall and Wembley Stadium, and every rock band we talked to, they all said, "Oh my God, it's just like what we do on tour." They keep the tape on the tour bus, they watch it over and over. Sting saw it, and he said, "Every time I see it, I don't know whether to laugh or cry." So somehow we've seeped into the culture. The Oxford English Dictionary now has "this goes to 11" as a thing that's not just about loud music, but about anything in excess. And we're part of the Library of Congress.
That's
the National Film Registry. So here we are. I mean, we never thought in a million years it was going to happen like this.
Now, The End Continues is one of those perfect subtitles.
Yes.
I love that it's Spinal Tap II, The End Continues. Where do we find these folks 40 years after the original, but also 50 years after retirement? Where are we with them?
Well, what happens is we find out that and this we took from real life, which is the guys had not played with each other in 15 years. So we said, okay, what would cause them to get back together again? We created this whole idea that there's bad blood. They're not speaking to each other. What's going on? And you find that out in the course of the film. But they now are forced together because of a contract that was the last performance they had to give. It was a contract when their manager, Ian Faith, died, which is the real guy, Tony Hendra died. And the daughter takes it over and says, well, I mean, what am I going to do with this contract? It's worthless. They don't play together. Then there's a big music star screwing around at a sound check. He sings Big Bottom. It's caught on an iPhone. They throw it up on TikTok, and it goes viral. And then now we'll play. We'll play, and they go to New Orleans and play their last concert. But if you notice, it says The End Continues. These people never stop.
Sure.
They never stop.
Crank it up to 11, man.
Yeah.
Now, this is a story that it sounds like is using a lot of real-life events incorporating into the story, and
Right.
The meta nature of pop culture has really changed since the 80s. I consider this and The Last Action Hero two of the most ahead-of-their-time movies of pop culture's gonna catch up to them. Did you incorporate any of the meta nature of the present into the film?
Well, here's the thing that's beautiful about Spinal Tap. They have not grown emotionally, musically, or artistically. They are stuck in that heavy metal world, but the world is, moving on around them. So they have to make do what they can. They have to figure it out.
Now, in real life, I heard you made Tom Waits cry. I've heard that Ozzy thought it was real. I know that it has joined the many steamed lists that I'm imagining wasn't part of the plan. What's been the most surprising ramification of the first film?
It's the craziest thing where we took from real life and we put it in the film, like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers get lost backstage. The first keyboarders that played with Spinal Tap, They got booked into an Air Force base. We used this. We saw about the Endless Party in Rolling Stone, where Van Halen was making demands about what was going to be in their rider backstage. We made a thing out of this. And then we had this whole thing about drummers dying, which a lot of drummers, Spinal Tap has had 11 drummers pass away. It's a very dangerous gig. And you'll see in the film, there's Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers and Lars Ulrich and Questlove, Fallon's drummer. And they all are very nervous about taking this gig on because they don't want to take their lives in their hands. But it just kind of folds into itself in that, like this Mobius strip where life and art. And the real thing that happened is the craziest thing was Toto. And we have Steve Lukather talks about, he's not in the film, but he did part in the book. I did a book for Simon & Schuster also about this. And Steve Lukather talks about his experience. And, there was Jeff Porcaro and Steve Porcaro and in Toto. And, Jeff Porcaro, he died of a bizarre gardening accident. But you cannot make this stuff up. I mean, and we had a guy in the first film who died of a bizarre gardening accident.
I love that you somehow did make this stuff up, and you can't make this stuff up. What a beautiful thing. And then it happens. It's crazy. Now, on to the macro, zooming out a little bit. I mentioned cranking things up to 11 almost weekly, this being included Library of Congress, but also, I think about bucket lists because of that film. I say you can't handle the truth. There's so many moments that you've influenced in pop culture. Has there been any of those that you were shocked that people took to, or has it all been kind of just rolling with it?
Oh, here's the crazy thing. And you just mentioned bucket list. Where do you think that came from?
I have to imagine there's something that preceded the book. And I know with Fast and the Furious, it was an article. Was the bucket list an original?
It was made up for the movie.
No way.
The movie that I directed with Jack Nicholson, Morgan Freeman. Everybody thinks that thing has been around for 1 million years. We made it up for the movie, and that to me is a surprise. That people think, oh, it's on my. I want that on my bucket list. I want to, that's on my bucket list, and you hear it all the time. That's a weird one for me.
That is incredible. Yeah, I literally think of it as part of culture.
Yeah, I know, and people think it's it's been around for 1 million years. Yeah.
Now I got to host the only ever reunion of The Princess Bride at MegaCon. I got to host Robin Wright's only con appearance. It was me, God. Carrie, Chris, everyone. Wow. That is one of, I think, the only perfect films, and be ashamed to ruin it. Is that film something that you'd love to see brought into a sequel like Spinal Tap, or do you want it left alone?
No, I would, because Bill Goldman, who wrote the book that the movie is based on, he wrote the screenplay for the movie. He was a dear friend. I loved him, and he's not with us anymore. And when I first met him to make the movie, he said, "This is my favorite thing I've ever written. I want it on my tombstone." And basically that, what are you going to do with it? And I told him I was going to be very respectful of it. I would never do anything unless I had his blessing. And I, obviously can't get that now. So to me, that movie stays where it is.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the last couple of questions for you, because I know you guys have a big press day, but Once Upon a Deadpool used Princess Bride as like a through line to make it a PG-13 cut. Did you ever get to see any of this?
I never saw it.
So basically they had Deadpool reading Fred a bedtime story, and they intercut moments of the Princess Bride into the film.
That's hysterical.
Have you ever been a part of anything mockumentary like Spinal Tap as much as Once Upon a Deadpool?
No, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, they made it a PG-13 film out of an R rating using.
Unbelievable.
It's some magic. And now, are you a comic?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Are you a comic person? Because this is the world of comics.
I was just saying, as we're driving over here, when I was a kid, I had a huge comic book collection, and mostly DC. I was big into Superman, but there was other DC characters, but to me, Superman was the guy.
I am so happy you said that. Literally, I was hoping that was an answer. The entire press tour, David Cornsweet, our new Superman, we snuck in Princess Bride references throughout the entire press tour. That's one of his favorite movies of all time. Wow. So I just did 6 months in Superman, and Princess Bride was our through line. So I wanted to thank you.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I love Superman. And one of my favorite things, because I used to not only read the comic books, but there was a TV show.
Yeah.
Called, Superman before the movies.
Yeah, the 50s.
In the 50s. And there was a great joke this guy, David Brenner, used to do. I loved it. He was saying, you see, Superman would get trapped in a warehouse, right? He'd get trapped in a warehouse, and the bad guy would shoot at Superman with 6 shots, and Superman would stand like this, and bing, 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 bing. The bullets would come, bounce off his chest. Then he'd run out of bullets, the bad guy, and he'd throw the gun at Superman, and Superman would go like that. He'd duck. What is he ducking? If he's not going to get killed by the bullets, certainly the gun's not going to hurt him. But he always ducked from
the
that.
writing's
That was
improved
funny.
in the last 7
Yeah.
years. We've noticed these flaws.
Yeah.
And the last bit of a moment I want to spend is I loved how much Ozzy seemed to be involved in the journey of the original. Were there any moments that stick with you as we just lost the man this week?
Yeah, I mean it's sad, it's sad. I mean, we were just talking about him because he had his last concert
Recently
in England, and he apparently, he was in a wheelchair, but they wheeled him out, and he sang and stuff, and then the next thing you know, you hear this, and we did a little tribute to him that he put up on his Instagram page, and just said, it said Ozzy forever, and it says, there are no amps loud enough to honor this rock legend. So there, and he set the tone for everybody. And when he first saw the movie, he got upset because he said it's like our real life. But then after a while, he got to like it.
What a legacy! What a beautiful thing! And I'm so excited for the end continuing, man. I think this is the perfect time for Spinal Tap to have a sequel. So excited to hear all of this, and thank you for making it for people that love the first.
Come to the movie theater. You should go to the movie theater because it's a comedy. You have to watch it with an audience.
Share it with a crowd, laugh with people, see it in theaters. I totally agree. And crank it to 11 in theaters.
Here you go.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
Absolute brother.
Thanks for having me.